and the Roberts family. You are able to use the photo on the GoFundMe site that we included a link to, and we can share more information before we wrap up here today to make sure that you can appropriately identify each member of the Roberts family in that photo. Any photo credits should be attributed to the Roberts family. With that, I see that we have a couple questions or a couple folks already popping into the Q&A. Just please remember, we'll be watching that. We'll be opening up and taking as many questions as we can for 3 o'clock.
Forget it.
We'll just give a couple more minutes before we get started.
No, I'm good.
We'll give it one more minute. All right, thank you again to everyone for joining us here today. With us in your spotlight on your screen is Mr. Anthony Loizzi. Anthony, A-N-T-H-O-N-Y, Loizzi, L-O-I-Z as in zebra, Z as in zebra, I. Mr. Loizzi is the family spokesperson for the Roberts family. He is also an attorney, but he is not representing the Roberts family in a legal capacity here today. And so we'll start today with some quick opening comments from Mr. Loizzi to update you on the Roberts family, their medical status, and their support needs moving forward. And then we'll turn to Q&A and we'll take as many questions as we can before 3 p.m. Tony?
Okay, thank you, Holly. Good afternoon, everybody. Again, I'm Tony Loizzi. I am a friend and a colleague of Keely Roberts, who is the superintendent of Elementary School District 6 in Zion, Illinois. Keely attended the Highland Park parade on Monday with her family, including her 2 8-year-old twin boys, Cooper and Luke. Keely and Cooper were both shot that day, and Luke also suffered injuries from shrapnel. Thankfully, Luke has been treated. He was released from the hospital and he's recuperating at home with his sisters. Keely was shot in the leg and foot area, has undergone several surgeries, and was discharged from the hospital yesterday. Quite frankly, she probably should not have been discharged, but she insisted on it so that she could be at her son's side, Cooper, who is at a hospital in the city with her husband. Cooper was shot in the chest, and he suffered significant injuries, including a severed spinal cord. He's undergone several surgeries since Monday, including one last night, during which the doctors were finally able to close up his belly. He's currently sedated and on a ventilator in critical but stable condition. The Roberts family is so appreciative of the prayers and support that have come in and have been shared with them. As you may have seen, there is a GoFundMe page established for the Roberts family to help with the medical expenses they've incurred and for the obvious ongoing treatment and therapy that Cooper will need. The school district in Zion at which Keely works has received many offers of support from superintendents around the state, both active and retired, to help the district while Keely and her family take the time needed to heal from this devastating event. I came to know Keely through work. She's been a school administrator for many, many years, serving many districts. And I've just been continuously amazed as I've worked with her over the past 7 years of how She gives all of herself, works hard day and night to serve students and families in public schools. And now she and her family need our support. So we just ask you to please continue to keep the Roberts family and all of those impacted by this tragedy in your thoughts and prayers. And that's the end of my statement. We can now turn to questions.
Great. I'll open it up for questions. I don't see any questions in the chat yet, so maybe give it just a moment. First question is, what can you tell Cooper about what he's like as a child?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I couldn't
Do
hear
you know
you.
him personally? But do we know anything about Cooper?
Yes, Cooper, as I already mentioned, Cooper, as you know, is a twin. He's 8 years old. He loves sports. That's his passion. A Milwaukee Brewers fan. Every time I've talked to his mom about him, he's always very active, way into sports, loves baseball. And like I said already, is a big Brewers fan.
We know if Cooper is the young.
The next question is Cooper the youngest victim? Do we know that?
The youngest victim of all the victims?
Yes.
I don't know the answer to that.
Do we know what other family members were at the parade?
I believe Keely's husband, Jason, was there with them also. She also has 4 daughters, but they are older and live in Wisconsin and other places, so they were not with her at the parade that day.
Okay. The next question is, how is he now? And at the time, was he excited to go to the parade? Do we know that?
I don't know that for sure, but knowing him and his family, they were probably very excited. They're HP residents, Highland Park residents. So that's why they were there. As for how he's doing right now, as I mentioned, he's currently sedated and on a ventilator. And we're really hoping that will end soon. He is classified as in critical but stable condition at this point.
What is the outlook for Cooper? Have the doctors shared information?
I have not had any direct communications with the doctors. I have talked obviously to Keely, and I've talked to his sister Peyton. And what they've relayed to me is that it's going to be a new normal for him going forward. They're not sure, due to the severed spinal cord, whether or not he'll be able to walk again in the future.
Do you know where they were on the parade route?
I do not.
Okay. And this is from Heather Hollingsworth with the AP. What are the doctors telling the family about Cooper's prognosis? I know you just shared this.
Yeah. Again, they've not given me any specific details from the doctors, just in my discussions with Keely and Peyton. It sounds as if that he'll have significant issues moving forward, especially with walking.
What about Dr. Roberts? What do we know about her injuries?
She was shot in the foot leg area. I know she underwent at least 2 surgeries. And my understanding is there still may be continuous bleeding and she may need a 3rd surgery.
Okay, and I think you answered this. Someone is asking, how many more siblings does Cooper have? He has a twin brother and 4 sisters.
4 sisters, yes.
So six children altogether.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And do you know, Tony, have they attended the parade in years past? Is it a family tradition?
That I do not know.
Okay. From Brittany Shamus from the Washington Post, how is the family holding up? How are they getting through this? And she asks about siblings as well. And we've just answered that Cooper has 5 siblings. Yeah,
they're devastated, but they're focusing all of their energy right now on Cooper. It's been a very emotional time for everybody in their circle. And, if you know Keely, she's just a fighter. And it sounds like Cooper got that part of her in him because he's fighting as hard as he can.
We have a question. Is Cooper currently at the U Chicago Medicine Comer Children's Hospital?
Yes.
Another question, what is keeping the family strong?
Each other. Just leaning on each other, leaning on friends. The school district and the community that she works in is also just an outpouring of support. And so, just really a circle of friends, her family, and the community that she serves and has served for the last 7 years in Zion.
Someone's asking about other pictures of Cooper and the family that can be shared. We do have a couple of others, and I'll put your name on a list and share some of those after this session. Another question, what has the family shared about the actual shooting? I know you said you didn't know exactly where they were. Part of that question is who helped them at the time? Yeah,
to be honest, I've not had that conversation with Keely. I've tried not to focus on what exactly happened, and I've really kept the focus on what we're doing to help her and her son.
Someone is stating that they got on the call about 2 minutes late. Can you please just do a brief update as to Cooper's condition?
Yes, I'll just read it right from my statement. Cooper was shot in the chest, and he suffered significant injuries, including a severed spinal cord. He's undergone several surgeries since Monday, including one last night, during which doctors were finally able to close up his belly. He is currently sedated and on a ventilator in critical but stable condition.
As a family friend, can you tell us when you found out about the shooting and you learned that your friends were injured?
I was here. I think it was probably about 2:00 p.m. on Monday. And the school board president for Zion Elementary School District 6 called me and informed me of what had happened. And I was first able to speak to Keely for the first time just yesterday.
A couple questions about Cooper's brother. How has the family explained this to his brother, and how is he doing?
I'm not sure how they've explained it to him. I've not had that conversation with them, but he is at home with his sister, Peyton, and he's doing well.
What specifically were his injuries?
Shrapnel injuries in his, I believe, lower body. They tried to remove some of it, and others, they said the removal would cause more damage. So I believe they left the pieces in him.
Is there anything that folks can do to support Luke while his brother's in the hospital?
I think he's just, quite honestly, respect their privacy at this point. The family really just wants to focus on Cooper and making sure he pulls through, which is why they've asked me to handle this while they're doing that. They would really appreciate if people did not show up at their homes. If you do have an offer of support, you can email, her name's Kim Hall. She's Keely's administrative assistant at Zion Elementary School 6. And obviously you can support them via the GoFundMe page for the Roberts family.
Can you talk a little bit more about Keely? You mentioned maybe she shouldn't have been released.
I think the text message I got about Keely is that after she had her second surgery, and then she received news that Cooper's spinal cord had been severed, she told her doctors and nurses that they should either discharge her or she'd walk out on her own because she needed to be with her son.
Can you please elaborate on the GoFundMe campaign and why it's needed?
It's obviously to cover the medical expenses that they will incur, but probably more so to cover the therapy and support that Cooper will obviously need for many months, if not years to come.
Is the school district planning to do anything like, prayer vigils or counseling or anything like that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I've not talked to them about that. I do know that the local high school district, District 113 in Highland Park, is offering counseling services at their high school, both with their own counselors. I believe the Red Cross is there, and the FBI is also helping out. So you can go to their website, Township High School District 113, and you could see the supports that they are providing the community due to this tragic event.
Another question about Luke, how he is handling this emotionally, how he's handling the stress of all this.
Yeah, I would be speculating. I have not directly spoken to Luke or seen him since this happened. So I really couldn't answer that.
Do you know the school they attended and what grade they're in, the boys?
I believe they're at Brayside, which is part of North Shore School District 112. They're both 8, so I believe they're going into third grade, 3rd or 4th grade.
Okay. Reporter asking for the names and ages of all 5 siblings.
There's 6 total, 4 girls, 2 boys. I know Cooper and Luke are 8. I'm not exactly sure, but I can get that information and forward it on to whoever is requesting that.
Okay. Does the family have any needs beyond the GoFundMe? Are there more things that people can do for them?
Just at this point, Keely's just asked for people to keep them in their thoughts and prayer, and again to please respect their privacy at this time so they can focus on Cooper.
Is Cooper paralyzed?
I would be speculating. I believe that is a possibility. I believe that's their major concern, but I do not have confirmation of that.
Sometimes family use these occasions to speak more broadly on gun control. Do you know, is this something they're thinking about?
I do not know.
Yeah, I think they've got to be so focused on
Yeah. This is, we're
healing, right?
a couple days later. So really it's the focus 100%. Even Keely has been on her son. I tried to talk to her yesterday about her injuries, and she really just didn't want to focus on that. Wanted to make sure we were focused on her son.
And the twins' last name, both of the twins' last names, Roberts, right?
Correct.
From Reuters, can you talk more about Cooper's involvement in sports? Does he play on an organized baseball team? Do you know what position he's in? Does he also play ice hockey? Is he a pro hockey fan? Did you mention any particular team that he follows?
I am not sure, but I potentially will find out here. His sister is, I believe, following, and I just got the answer to the other questions, the ages and the other siblings. We've got Peyton, who's 26, Ella, who's 22, Grace, who's 21, Emily, who's 18, and then Luke and Cooper are 8.
And do you know where Cooper's spinal cord was severed?
I do not.
And a reporter confirming which family members were at the parade. You said Keely, Cooper, and Luke. Was Jason there as well?
I believe so.
Okay. Someone else wanting photos, adding them to the list. Do you know if Cooper's been sedated for the entire time since the incident?
I believe so.
Okay. So he's not conscious and alert.
No.
He hasn't been able to say anything to his family.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
The names of the 4 daughters with their spellings.
Okay. Peyton is Payton. Ella, ELLA. Grace, Grace, and Emily, Emily.
And the father's full name?
Jason, Jason.
Last name Roberts, right?
Yes.
Mhm. Has there been any indication of brain damage for Cooper?
I do not know.
Peyton, again, the spelling Payton, not Pey.
PA, yes.
Pay. Okay. I think that's the end of our questions. Someone is
Mary,
asking for you to just repeat the summary of the injuries sustained and how they're doing.
For all three?
Mhm.
Okay. Luke, as I said, has been treated for shrapnel injuries. He's released from the hospital and is recuperating at home with his sisters. Keely was shot in the leg foot area, has undergone several surgeries, and was discharged from the hospital yesterday. Cooper was shot in the chest, and he suffered significant injuries, including a spinal cord injury, a severed spinal cord. He's undergone several surgeries since Monday, including one last night during which doctors were able to close his belly, finally. He's currently sedated and on a ventilator in critical but stable condition. Jason was at the parade. I do have confirmation of that. And I also have confirmation that the boys love the parade. I know we had that question. So this is something that I believe they have done in the past.
Another question, is there anything else you would want people to know about this family, what they're like?
You know, I know Keely the best. I've worked with her the closest. We've spent many hours together on work-related issues, and I just can't emphasize enough how much she gives of herself to the students and communities that she serves. She works around the clock. I get emails from her at 3, 4 in the morning worrying about students in her schools and how she can support them and serve them the best way possible. She's done things like I'm doing right now for kids in her school that have suffered tragedies, and is a huge advocate for her students. So that's mainly why I'm doing this. After watching her give so much of herself to other people for her whole career, it's just, she needs our support now.
Were Keely and Luke treated at the same hospital?
No.
No.
Keely was at a hospital in Skokie. I'm not sure where. I think Luke might have been at the North Shore Center in Highland Park. I'm not sure though. I'd have to confirm that.
Yeah, okay. Did Keely suffer 2 gunshot wounds?
I don't know.
Okay. Someone's asking about getting permission to use the GoFundMe photo of the whole family. And I believe the answer is yes, right?
Yes, that's fine.
That can be used.
Yes.
That's been
And
approved.
I've got confirmation. They were both treated in Highland Park first together. And yes, 2 shots. Keely was shot twice.
Okay. The school district that where Keely is the superintendent, how big is the school district? How many students enrolled?
I believe I know it's 6 schools. As for the enrollment, hold on, I think it's coming through right now, 2,300.
Okay.
It's elementary, K through 8 elementary.
Okay. And I'm seeing a question, do you have IDs for the GoFundMe picture? And the answer is yes. Front row is Luke and Cooper, and the back row is Emily, and then Jason, and then Ella, and then Keely.
Yeah, and Cooper's the smaller of the 2 boys.
And I think that's the end of our questions. Tony, do you want to share any last remarks?
Just for Keely, her family, and for all of the families that have been touched by this tragedy, our thoughts and prayers are with them, and any support that you can provide Keely, her family, or any of the other families, obviously would be greatly appreciated. So we thank you for that support, and that's it.
One final question, Keely's age?
Ooh, it's a good question. I never asked her that. I'd say probably around my age, but I'm not going to guess. I might get in trouble.
Are you going to get something from one of her children right now, sending it to you?
I don't think I have. No.
Okay. Holly, any final housekeeping comments?
No, thanks so much. As I indicated, we're going to be creating a Dropbox with access to photos from the Roberts family, including some additional photos of Cooper and Luke, and whatever family photos we can make available. We'll also place the recording of today's session there. If you did not include your contact information in your Q&A, please take a moment to drop it in now so we can add you to the list for future distributions of any information or updates that we have available. Thank you so much. We'll keep the line open here for a couple minutes so that everybody can go ahead and do that, and we'll collect all that information. Thanks again, and we really appreciate your support in telling the Roberts family story. We're hopeful that this will generate a lot of support for them, and that they'll know that many people care about them.
Thank you.
Mary, if you want, you can hop off. I'll stay on and close this out with Eric. Okay, if there's anyone left on the webinar who'd like to add your information, we'll give you just a few more minutes and then we're going to shut down. Thanks so much. Okay, one more time, I'll just ask if anyone of the media outlets who are still on the webinar would like to be on a list for additional information distribution. Please drop in your contact information into the Q&A and we will add you to our distribution list. We'll be shutting this webinar link down in 5 minutes, so you have a few minutes to get that done. Thanks so much. Okay, another call if you're still on the webinar and you are wanting to have your information added to our distribution list for future communications about the Roberts family. Please post in the Q&A your name, your media outlet, and your contact information. We'll be shutting this webinar down in 3 minutes. Okay, one last call. We'll be shutting this webinar down in 1 minute. If you're still logged on and you would like to be added to the distribution list for further communications about the Roberts family, please add your name, your media outlet, and your contact information into the Q&A. This webinar will conclude in 1 minute. All right, thank you so much for your time. We'll be concluding this webinar now. Thank you.